It's official. The NFL just witnessed the most explosive quarterback controversy in modern history, and what I'm about to reveal will absolutely blow your mind. Shedeur Sanders, the rookie phenom everyone said wasn't ready for prime time, just dropped a nuclear-level bombshell that has sent shockwaves rippling through every front office in the league. We're talking about a trade demand so unprecedented, so earth-shattering, that it's literally rewriting the rules of how rookie quarterbacks operate in this league. Sources close to the Cleveland Browns organization confirm that Sanders walked into the front office 3 days ago and delivered an ultimatum that left executives speechless. This isn't your typical "I want more playing time" conversation. This is a calculated, strategic move that exposes the darkest secrets of NFL politics and reveals a conspiracy so twisted it makes your head spin. The mainstream media won't touch this story because it threatens to expose the collusion that's been happening behind closed doors for years. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. The Cincinnati Bengals aren't just interested in Sanders, they're desperate. Joe Burrow's devastating injury has left them scrambling, and multiple insiders confirm they've already made preliminary contact with Cleveland about a potential trade. We're talking about phone calls happening at midnight, secret meetings in hotel lobbies, and negotiations so intense that one source described the atmosphere as nuclear tension. The stakes couldn't be higher, and what's happening behind the scenes is more twisted than any Hollywood script. The controversy bomb that's about to explode involves more than just football. We're talking about family dynasties, generational wealth, and power plays that reach the highest levels of professional sports. Deion Sanders, the legendary Hall of Famer, isn't just sitting on the sidelines watching his son's career unfold. Sources reveal he's been orchestrating a master plan that's been years in the making, and what we're witnessing now is just the beginning of a seismic shift that will change the NFL forever. What makes this situation absolutely mind-blowing is the timing. Just as Joe Burrow goes down with a career-threatening injury, Shedeur Sanders suddenly demands a trade to a team that desperately needs a quarterback. Coincidence? Multiple sources say absolutely not. The coordination between the Sanders camp and certain NFL franchises runs deeper than anyone imagined, and the evidence we've uncovered suggests a level of manipulation that would make your jaw drop to the floor. The credibility of this story comes from sources you wouldn't believe. We're talking about former NFL executives, current team insiders, and people so close to the Sanders family that they know what Deion had for breakfast this morning. One source, who spoke on condition of anonymity, told us that this trade demand has been planned for months, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That moment came when Burrow's injury created the exact opportunity they'd been waiting for. But the most shocking part isn't even the trade demand itself. It's what's happening in NFL boardrooms right now. Emergency meetings are being called. Owners are flying in from across the country. And according to one insider, there's panic at the highest levels because this situation threatens to expose a network of backroom deals and gentlemen's agreements that have been controlling player movement for decades. The internet has turned into a battlefield over this story. Bengals fans are flooding social media with demands to trade for Sanders. Browns fans are split between those who want to keep him and those who think he's being disrespectful. But the most telling reactions are coming from NFL analysts and former players who are staying suspiciously quiet. When people who usually have opinions about everything suddenly go silent, you know something big is happening behind the scenes. Let's rewind to the beginning, because this story starts way before Shedeur Sanders ever stepped foot in an NFL facility. We're talking about a master plan that began when Shedeur was still throwing passes in high school, orchestrated by one of the most calculating minds in sports history, his father, Deion "Primetime" Sanders. This isn't just about a rookie quarterback wanting more playing time. This is about a family dynasty that's been playing chess while everyone else has been playing checkers. Deion Sanders didn't just raise a son to play football. He engineered a quarterback specifically designed to dominate the modern NFL. From the moment Shedeur could hold a football, every throw, every read, every decision was crafted with one goal in mind: creating the perfect quarterback for today's game. Sources close to the Sanders family reveal that Deion had a detailed plan mapped out before Shedeur even entered high school, identifying specific NFL teams that would be perfect fits and timing everything down to the exact moment when opportunity would meet preparation. The Colorado years weren't just about developing Shedeur's skills. They were about building a brand, creating leverage, and positioning him as the most NFL-ready quarterback in the draft. Deion didn't just coach his son, he created a media empire around him. Every interview, every highlight reel, every social media post was strategically designed to build the narrative that Shedeur Sanders wasn't just another college quarterback. He was the future of the position. But here's what nobody saw coming. While everyone was focused on Shedeur's college performance, Deion was quietly building relationships with NFL executives, former teammates who had moved into front office positions, and power brokers who could influence draft decisions. One source revealed that Deion had been having conversations with certain NFL teams for over 2 years, laying the groundwork for exactly the situation we're seeing now. The character at the center of this nuclear explosion is unlike any rookie quarterback we've ever seen. Shedeur Sanders didn't just enter the NFL with talent. He entered with a level of confidence and strategic thinking that's unprecedented for a first-year player. Sources describe him as someone who studies not just game film, but organizational charts, front office politics, and media narratives. This isn't a naive rookie hoping for his chance. This is a calculated professional who knows exactly what he wants and how to get it. The Cleveland Browns thought they were getting a developmental quarterback who would quietly learn behind Deshaun Watson for a few years. What they actually got was a young man who had been preparing for this exact moment his entire life. Multiple sources confirm that from day one, Shedeur was analyzing the organization, identifying weaknesses, and building relationships with key players and coaches. He wasn't just learning the playbook, he was learning how to leverage his position for maximum impact. Joe Burrow's injury created the perfect storm, but it wasn't an accident that Shedeur was ready to capitalize on it. Sources reveal that the Sanders camp had been monitoring quarterback injury reports across the league, identifying teams that might suddenly need a quarterback, and positioning themselves to strike at exactly the right moment. When Burrow went down, they didn't just see an opportunity. They saw the culmination of years of strategic planning. The Cincinnati Bengals represent everything the Sanders family has been working toward. A team with championship aspirations, elite weapons like Jamar Chase, and an organization desperate enough to take risks. But more importantly, they represent a market and a platform that could elevate Shedeur's brand to levels that would be impossible in Cleveland. This isn't just about football, it's about building a legacy that extends far beyond the game. The timeline of events leading to this crisis reads like a thriller novel. 3 months ago, sources confirmed that Deion Sanders had a private meeting with a prominent NFL agent who specializes in quarterback trades. 2 months ago, there were mysterious visits to Cincinnati by people connected to the Sanders camp. 1 month ago, just before Burrow's injury, there were reports of unusual activity around the Browns facility, with Shedeur having extended conversations with teammates about hypothetical situations. The first warning signs that everyone missed were hiding in plain sight. Shedeur's social media activity had subtly shifted, with more interactions with Bengals players and less engagement with Browns content. His interviews became more strategic, with carefully worded responses that left room for interpretation. Most tellingly, sources revealed that he had been asking teammates and coaches about trade procedures and contract implications. Questions that seemed innocent at the time, but now appear to be part of a larger strategy. But here's where it gets absolutely nuclear, and I need you to understand that what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you view this entire situation. The trade demand wasn't just a spontaneous decision by a frustrated rookie. Multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation confirm that this has been a coordinated operation involving not just Shedeur and Deion Sanders, but a network of agents, former NFL executives, and power brokers who have been orchestrating this move for months. The smoking gun evidence comes from phone records and meeting logs that show a pattern of communication between the Sanders camp and Cincinnati Bengals personnel that dates back to before the NFL season even started. We're talking about conversations that happened when Joe Burrow was healthy, when the Bengals had no apparent need for a quarterback, and when Shedeur Sanders was supposedly focused on learning the Browns system. The level of premeditation here is absolutely staggering. Here's the most explosive part that will blow your mind. Sources reveal that there were preliminary discussions about Shedeur Sanders potentially ending up in Cincinnati before he was even drafted by Cleveland. The draft process itself may have been manipulated to ensure he ended up in a situation where a trade to Cincinnati would eventually become possible. We're talking about a level of strategic planning that goes beyond anything we've seen in modern NFL history. The detailed breakdown of this shocking truth involves multiple layers of deception and manipulation. First, the Sanders camp allegedly provided certain information to NFL teams during the draft process that was designed to influence where Shedeur would be selected. They wanted him to go to a team that would be willing to trade him under the right circumstances, and Cleveland fit that profile perfectly. Second, they began building relationships with the Cincinnati organization immediately after the draft, laying the groundwork for exactly the situation we're seeing now. But the most damning evidence comes from sources who reveal that there were contingency plans in place for multiple scenarios. If Burrow got injured, Cincinnati would be the primary target. If other quarterbacks around the league went down, there were backup plans involving different teams. This wasn't just hoping for an opportunity. This was creating multiple pathways to achieve the same goal. The level of strategic thinking here is unprecedented for a rookie quarterback. The immediate reactions to this revelation have been absolutely explosive. When word started leaking about the coordinated nature of this trade demand, NFL executives went into full panic mode. Emergency conference calls were held, legal teams were consulted, and according to one source, there are serious discussions about whether this level of manipulation violates league policies about draft integrity and competitive balance. The Cleveland Browns organization is reportedly in complete chaos. Sources describe meetings where executives are screaming at each other, trying to figure out how they got played by a rookie and his father. The realization that they were essentially used as a stepping stone in a larger plan has left the front office feeling humiliated and betrayed. One insider described the atmosphere as nuclear fallout, with people pointing fingers and demanding answers. The fallout extends beyond just the Browns organization. Other NFL teams are now questioning whether they've been manipulated in similar ways. Draft boards are being re-examined, communication logs are being reviewed, and there's a growing sense that this situation has exposed vulnerabilities in the system that could be exploited by other players and agents in the future. The social media explosion has been unlike anything we've seen in recent NFL history. Number Shedeur Gate is trending worldwide. Fans are divided between those who admire the strategic brilliance and those who think it represents everything wrong with modern professional sports. The comment sections are absolutely wild, with people sharing theories, leaked information, and insider knowledge that's painting an even more complex picture of what's really happening behind the scenes. The internet turned into detectives the moment this story broke, and what they've uncovered is absolutely mind-blowing. Amateur investigators on Reddit, Twitter, and TikTok have been piecing together evidence that professional journalists either missed or chose to ignore. Flight records showing Deion Sanders making mysterious trips to Cincinnati. Hotel receipts placing key figures in the same locations at crucial times. Social media interactions that now seem far more significant in hindsight. Multiple insider sources have come forward with information that paints a picture of coordination so sophisticated it would make corporate espionage experts jealous. We're talking about encrypted communications, coded language in public statements, and a network of intermediaries who helped facilitate conversations without leaving obvious paper trails. One source, who worked in NFL front offices for over a decade, told us that this level of strategic planning is unprecedented in the modern era. The leaked evidence keeps getting more explosive. Documents obtained by sources close to the investigation show that there were detailed analyses of every NFL team's quarterback situation, injury histories, and organizational vulnerabilities. The Sanders camp didn't just hope for an opportunity. They created detailed profiles of potential landing spots and developed specific strategies for each scenario. Cincinnati wasn't just their first choice, it was their perfectly calculated target. Phone records reveal a pattern of communication that's absolutely damning. Calls between Sanders' family representatives and Cincinnati personnel that happened at odd hours, often late at night or early in the morning, when such conversations would be less likely to be noticed. The frequency and timing of these communications suggest a level of coordination that goes far beyond casual interest or coincidental contact. But the most shocking leaked evidence involves financial projections and marketing analyses that show the Sanders camp had calculated the exact value increase that would come from playing in Cincinnati versus staying in Cleveland. We're talking about detailed spreadsheets showing endorsement opportunities, media market values, and brand building potential. This wasn't just about football. It was about maximizing earning potential through strategic positioning. Behind the scenes, power struggles have erupted at multiple levels of the NFL hierarchy. League officials are reportedly furious about the potential manipulation of draft processes and competitive balance. Team owners are demanding investigations into whether other players and agents have been engaging in similar tactics. And there's growing pressure for new rules and regulations to prevent this type of strategic manipulation in the future. The Cleveland Browns are fighting back with their own investigation, hiring private investigators and forensic accountants to trace the communications and financial relationships that may have influenced this situation. Sources reveal that they're building a case that could result in tampering charges, draft pick compensation, or other penalties against the teams and individuals involved in this alleged conspiracy. Cincinnati Bengals officials are walking a tightrope, publicly denying any improper contact while privately scrambling to distance themselves from the controversy. Internal emails obtained by sources show panic at the highest levels of the organization, with executives worried about potential league sanctions and damage to their reputation. The desperation to acquire Sanders is now competing with fear of the consequences if their involvement is proven. Financial and legal implications are staggering. If the league determines that draft manipulation occurred, we could be looking at unprecedented penalties, including loss of draft picks, financial sanctions, and potential criminal investigations. The legal ramifications extend beyond just NFL rules. There are questions about fraud, conspiracy, and violation of collective bargaining agreements that could result in federal investigations. But that's not even the most shocking part, and what I'm about to reveal will completely reframe everything you thought you knew about this situation. Sources with direct access to NFL security footage have confirmed that there were secret meetings between Sanders family representatives and Cincinnati Bengals personnel that took place in neutral locations away from team facilities, designed specifically to avoid detection by league monitoring systems. The new evidence that's emerged is absolutely explosive. Security camera footage from a private airport shows Deion Sanders boarding a plane that was later tracked to Cincinnati on 3 separate occasions over the past 6 months. Hotel records place him in the same Cincinnati hotel where Bengals executives were staying during what were supposed to be unrelated business trips. The coordination required to arrange these meetings without detection suggests a level of sophistication that's unprecedented in NFL history. But here's the nuclear revelation that changes everything. Sources reveal that Joe Burrow's injury may not have been the catalyst for this trade demand. It may have been the signal they were waiting for. Phone records show a spike in communications between the Sanders camp and Cincinnati immediately after Burrow's injury was confirmed, suggesting that this was the predetermined trigger for executing their plan. The most damning evidence involves encrypted messaging apps that were used to coordinate the timing of the trade demand. Sources with access to these communications reveal that there were detailed discussions about the optimal moment to make the demand, taking into account media cycles, other NFL news, and the Bengals' level of desperation. This wasn't a spontaneous decision, it was a precisely timed strategic strike. Key players' desperate responses have been absolutely revealing. Cleveland Browns executives have been making frantic calls to other NFL teams, trying to gauge whether similar manipulation has occurred with other players. The panic in their voices, according to sources who have heard these calls, suggests they're realizing the full scope of how they've been outmaneuvered. One executive was reportedly heard saying, "We've been played by a rookie and his daddy, and the whole league is laughing at us." Cincinnati Bengals officials are in full damage control mode, with legal teams working around the clock to review every communication and interaction with the Sanders camp. Sources reveal that there's serious concern about potential league sanctions and the possibility that their desperation for a quarterback has led them into a situation that could result in severe penalties. The organization is reportedly split between those who want to pursue the trade regardless of consequences and those who want to distance themselves from the controversy. The NFL League office has launched a quiet investigation that's more extensive than initially reported. Sources confirm that investigators are reviewing phone records, travel logs, financial transactions, and communication patterns going back over a year. The scope of the investigation suggests that league officials believe this situation may be part of a larger pattern of manipulation that could threaten the integrity of the draft process and competitive balance. Public opinion has shifted dramatically as more evidence emerges, and the reaction has been absolutely explosive. What started as admiration for strategic brilliance has evolved into serious questions about the integrity of professional sports. Social media platforms are flooded with debates about whether this represents innovative thinking or dangerous manipulation of league systems. The hashtag #NFL conspiracy is trending alongside #ShedurGate, with millions of users sharing theories and evidence that paint an even more complex picture of systematic manipulation. If you're already hooked by this insanity and want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, smash that hype button because this story gets 10x more explosive. Your hype points are literally helping us fund more investigations like this, and trust me, what we're about to uncover next will make your jaw hit the floor. The evidence we've gathered is so damning that powerful people are actively trying to bury this story, but your support helps us keep digging deeper into the truth that the mainstream media won't touch. This isn't just about Shedeur Sanders or the Cincinnati Bengals anymore. We're witnessing a seismic shift that's sending shockwaves through every level of professional football. The implications of this coordinated manipulation extend far beyond one trade demand, threatening to expose a network of backroom deals, gentlemen's agreements, and strategic manipulations that have been shaping the NFL for years. Industry insiders are describing this as a potential watershed moment that could fundamentally change how the league operates. The industry-wide panic is absolutely unprecedented. Sources reveal that emergency meetings have been called by multiple NFL teams, not just to discuss the Sanders situation, but to review their own draft processes, player communications, and potential vulnerabilities to similar manipulation. One former NFL executive told us that this situation has opened Pandora's box and exposed systematic weaknesses that could be exploited by other players, agents, and family members with the resources and strategic thinking to orchestrate similar campaigns. Team executives across the league are reportedly conducting internal audits of their communication systems, reviewing phone records and meeting logs to determine if they've been targeted by similar manipulation tactics. The paranoia level is so high that some organizations have implemented new security protocols and communication monitoring systems specifically designed to prevent this type of strategic coordination from happening again. The ripple effects are reaching into college football as well, with university programs now questioning whether they've been used as stepping stones in larger professional strategies. Sources reveal that several major college programs are reviewing their relationships with high-profile recruits and their families, looking for signs of similar long-term strategic planning that may have influenced recruitment and development decisions. Other celebrities and high-profile figures in the sports world are being affected as the investigation expands. Sources confirm that the NFL's investigation has uncovered communication patterns involving other prominent sports families, agents, and former players who may have been involved in similar strategic manipulations. We're talking about a potential network of influence and coordination that extends far beyond just the Sanders family. The most shocking revelation involves other current NFL players whose career paths may have been influenced by similar strategic planning. Sources with knowledge of the investigation reveal that phone records and communication patterns suggest at least 3 other high-profile players may have been involved in coordinated efforts to influence their draft positions or team destinations. The scope of potential manipulation is staggering. Former NFL executives and coaches are coming forward with stories about suspicious communications and strategic behaviors they witnessed but didn't fully understand at the time. One former general manager revealed that he had noticed unusual patterns in how certain agents and families approached draft processes but never connected the dots until this Sanders situation exposed the potential for systematic manipulation. The cultural and social implications extend beyond just professional sports. This situation is being analyzed by business schools, strategic planning experts, and organizational psychologists as a case study in how traditional power structures can be disrupted through innovative thinking and strategic coordination. Some are calling it brilliant entrepreneurship, while others see it as a dangerous precedent that threatens fair competition. Media organizations are scrambling to review their own coverage and relationships with sports figures, realizing that they may have been unknowingly participating in strategic narrative building designed to support larger manipulation campaigns. The revelation that media coverage itself may have been strategically influenced is causing serious soul-searching within sports journalism about independence and objectivity. Where everyone stands now is absolutely fascinating and constantly evolving. Shedeur Sanders remains officially on the Cleveland Browns roster, but sources confirm he has not participated in team activities since making his trade demand. His absence from practice and team meetings has created a toxic atmosphere within the organization, with teammates reportedly split between supporting his strategic brilliance and feeling betrayed by his calculated manipulation of the situation. The Cleveland Browns front office is in complete chaos, with sources describing daily emergency meetings where executives are trying to determine their best course of action. They're caught between wanting to punish Sanders for his manipulation and recognizing that his trade value may never be higher than it is right now. One insider described the situation as a nuclear standoff where everyone has weapons but nobody wants to be the first to fire. Cincinnati Bengals officials are walking an increasingly precarious tightrope. Publicly, they continue to deny any improper contact or coordination with the Sanders camp. Privately, sources reveal that they're desperately trying to find a way to acquire Sanders without triggering league sanctions or admitting to any wrongdoing. The organization's desperation for a quarterback is competing with their fear of the potential consequences if their involvement in this alleged conspiracy is proven. The latest developments are coming fast and furious. Just yesterday, sources confirmed that the NFL has expanded its investigation to include potential tampering charges against multiple teams and individuals. Federal investigators have reportedly been contacted about potential fraud and conspiracy charges related to the manipulation of draft processes and competitive balance. The legal implications are escalating beyond just league discipline into potential criminal territory. Joe Burrow's injury recovery has become a secondary storyline, but sources close to the quarterback reveal that he's been following the Sanders situation closely and is reportedly frustrated that his injury has become a catalyst for this controversy. There are whispers that Burrow himself may have opinions about the Bengals' pursuit of Sanders that could influence the organization's decision-making process. The ongoing legal and professional consequences are mounting daily. The NFL Players Association has launched its own investigation into whether league rules and collective bargaining agreements have been violated. Player agents across the league are reportedly studying the Sanders strategy to determine if similar tactics could be employed for their own clients, potentially creating a new paradigm for how players manage their careers and team relationships. This is the kind of content that changes industries. And if you want to see more investigations that expose the truth behind professional sports, show your support by hyping this video so more people can see what's really happening behind closed doors. The evidence we're uncovering is so explosive that powerful people are actively working to suppress this story. But your engagement helps us continue digging deeper into the corruption and manipulation that's been hidden from fans for years. The financial implications for all parties involved continue to escalate. Cleveland Browns season ticket holders are reportedly demanding refunds and threatening lawsuits over what they perceive as fraudulent representation of the team's quarterback situation. Cincinnati Bengals sponsors are expressing concern about potential association with a controversy that could result in league sanctions and negative publicity. What's coming next in this absolutely explosive saga will determine not just the future of Shedeur Sanders' career, but potentially reshape how the entire NFL operates for generations to come. Sources with knowledge of the ongoing investigation predict that we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, with revelations that could expose systematic manipulation involving dozens of players, agents, and team executives across multiple seasons and draft classes. The most likely scenario, according to multiple insiders, involves a domino effect of revelations that will force the NFL to implement sweeping changes to draft processes, communication monitoring, and player movement regulations. We're talking about potential rule changes that could fundamentally alter how players and agents operate, creating new restrictions and oversight mechanisms designed to prevent this type of strategic manipulation from happening again. But here's what's really terrifying for NFL executives.